Do any of these situations sound a little familiar? Here I go again. I can't believe I picked another loser to fall in love with. Why do I get stuck in the same kind of dead-end relationships over and over again? Or what about this one? I've been working my butt off for the past 2 years, and I know my boss really likes me. This morning they announced the department's being reorganized, and she's been downsized. I have to start all over again working for that promotion. Are you kidding me? Or how about this one? The pastor at church asked me to step up and lead the hospitality team. I'm no leader. Why did they pick me? All right, so maybe these aren't exactly your life, but haven't you ever faced a time when you find yourself stuck, repeating the same pattern, or all of a sudden you're set back by a change in circumstances? Hopefully, you've also been through times when a new door is opened, and while you'd like to walk through it, you're not sure you're ready. This is part of a series of videos to help you get unstuck, recover from a setback, or prepare to step up, because a good life isn't void of those challenges. Hi, I'm Jane Abate, your mentor, and the creator of the 5 Paths to a Good Life. In this video, we're taking a deep dive into the path I call Reframe Your Life. It's to help you prepare for whatever comes your way. Many years ago, I read a quote by Pearl Buck, who was the first American woman to be awarded both the Pulitzer and Nobel Prizes for Literature. She said, "One faces the future with one's past. If you want to understand today, you have to search yesterday." Now, some people might say, forget the past, don't worry about the future, live in the present. And there's some merit to that. Too many of us live defined by the choices and mistakes we've made, and that shouldn't be the case. We all have the opportunity to become a new person with a better future than our past. But if we simply brush the past aside and forget it, we miss out on its full meaning and potential. You see, you're never divorced from your past. It's a part of your entire life. There are valuable lessons to be learned, and it's influencing your present moment. How you respond to adversity and challenges today reflects your experiences yesterday. If you don't believe me, think about this. Remember the first time you took a bite of that pizza as soon as it came out of the oven? Burned the roof of your mouth, didn't it? What did you do the next time? And what about that video you posted on Instagram? Learn anything from that? Now those are, simple, maybe silly examples, but when you examine the past, you'll learn more about your mistakes, your failures, and you'll learn how to prevent those mistakes from happening again. But even better, you'll learn about what does work. You'll recognize the strengths you have that you can rely on, and you'll feel more confident when you think about what you've overcome, what you've learned, and what you've accomplished. Every day is preparing you for the future, for the lessons and opportunities yet to come. Taking steps on the path to reframe your life is important if you want a good life. So, how exactly do you go about reframing your life? We're going to start with a simple and very powerful exercise called My Lifeline. Grab some paper and a pen, or pause the video and download the Lifeline exercise below. This exercise helps you zoom out and take a big picture look at your life while you zoom in and look at the details. We're going to use this exercise in other videos in this series. If you're doing this on your own, you can start by drawing a horizontal line from left to right across the paper. This represents a span of years. On the far left side of the line, enter your date of birth. Then, fast forward and estimate your age when you die, and mark that line with an X. I bet that grabs your attention. I never really think about, how old am I going to be when I die? Anyway, Also, put a star on the line at your current age. It'll look something like this. So you'll have your date of birth, your current age, and the date you think you're going to die. Okay, now next, think about the significant events, decisions, people, turning points that have occurred between when you were born and your age today. You could choose to mark above the line what you consider to be positive events and mark below the line negative events. All you have to do is just put a few key words. Now, this is my lifeline. I noted several things that happened when I was very young, when I went off to college. My job changes, getting married, divorced, remarried, and so on. Of course, every person's lifeline is going to look different. Take some time with this. You might complete your lifeline over several days or weeks even, updating it as more things come to mind. Okay, so you have your lifeline, now what? Pause and zoom out. Notice what patterns, themes, or what jumps out at you. You'll probably discover that your life has been shaped by many things. And here's 3 things to pay particular attention to. First of all, notice the people and relationships that influenced you, helped you form your values, build your talents, shape your identity as good, bad, smart, dumb. Who was most influential in your life and how did they impact it? What did you learn from them? Our life is also shaped by what happens to us and around us. Events, circumstances, and sudden or significant changes cause us to form assumptions about the way life works or doesn't work. And those assumptions influence how we see life going forward. What happened to you that's been significant? And what did it mean to you? How did it change you? Change your life? And finally, your very own choices and decisions have an obvious impact on the direction and quality of your life. What have you learned and what strengths and experiences have you gained over time? In what ways have you matured, mellowed, or maybe even grown a backbone? Zoom out from the specific situations, circumstances, people, and events to get the big picture of your life, and you'll develop a different mindset that will change your life for the better. Rather than ignore, fear, or despise the past, you'll embrace how the past has been your teacher and not your enemy. You'll appreciate how looking back strengthens you for today and tomorrow. And perhaps what's most important of all, you'll understand that how you experience and interpret life is your choice. You have the power to build on your strengths, learn from your mistakes, and create the future that makes the most of every precious moment of your life. So, what's your next step? Well, first of all, take the time to create your lifeline. You could invite your husband, wife, or good friend to do their own lifeline and then, share the takeaways, have a conversation about it. Commit to reflect on what life up till now has taught you. And please don't just focus on the negative stuff. That would give you an incomplete picture of your life. I know it can be challenging to remember the good when you've experienced dark seasons or even trauma. But I know that even in the midst of those moments, you've shown great courage, strength, and growth. So make sure you don't overlook the good parts too. Another step you can take is to go back to the point where you feel stuck. Consider this setback or step up that you're facing and ask yourself this question. How has my past prepared me to handle this situation? I have no idea what your unique lifeline looks like, but I do know you're ready for whatever you're facing today because you are who you are and you have lived the life you've lived. You're equipped to get unstuck from destructive or unhealthy relationships. You've built strengths and talents to step up to whatever challenge is in front of you. And you'll recognize that no setback has to derail you because you're wise and you know you don't have to settle for anything less than a good life. We're going to stop here for now, but there is lots more to come. I'd love to hear about your experience as you create your lifeline and what you learn as you reframe the people, situations, and decisions of your life. So please provide feedback in the comments below. Check out the other parts of this series where you can learn how to zoom in and zoom out to create a good future and how to focus on making the best of the present moment. I've included links to those videos below. Thank you for joining me on your journey to a good life. I'm your mentor, Jane, and stay tuned for the final word. Here's a question I get a lot. My past is pretty ugly. How can looking back make a positive difference in my life? You know, I really relate to this question because there are some things in my past that I'm ashamed of and deeply regret. For the longest time, I hid those mistakes, didn't think about them, and certainly did not want to talk about them. Instead, I dove headfirst into building a successful career, trying to use current achievements to cover up my previous failures. That did not work. In fact, it was destructive for two reasons. First, I missed the opportunity to heal from the damage my behavior caused and from the wounds inflicted on me by other people. Second, I convinced myself that there was something deeply wrong with me, and that ran so deep that no accomplishment, amount of income, or recognition could convince me otherwise. I eventually found the courage to get help from a good therapist and join a support group with others like me. That made a huge difference. So if you feel troubled or can't make sense of an earlier trauma, please reach out to professionals who can help you. It's nothing to be ashamed of or to fear. An important part of my growth and healing has been to learn to walk by faith. So I've been asking God to help me understand what He wants me to take away from my past, both the good and the bad parts. I'm learning that I'm not the only one with an ugly past, and that it doesn't define who I am today or limit the plans for the good life that God has for me for the rest of my life. Let me explain. Many years ago, God chose one man. His name was Abraham. And He chose Abraham and his family to prosper and grow beyond all the others. That family later became the nation of Israel. Do we know why God chose Abraham's family? The answer is yes. The last line of God's blessing to Abraham reads, "And all families on earth will be blessed through you." God chose this one family to be the vehicle of His blessing for all families for all time. So you might assume that this family had an easy ride. There were no family dysfunctions, no crime, no mistreatment or traumas. But you'd be wrong. This family was made up of human beings, just like you and me. And if we look at their lifelines, we're going to see episodes of great courage, faithfulness, and success. We're also going to find big mistakes, poor decisions, and pretty awful behavior. Time after time, God rescued people in this family from slavery and war, even murder. He took care of their needs, provided all the food and water, even in the desert, that they could need. Eventually, He led them to a place as close to paradise as they could get. Now that all happened a long time ago. But why does it matter to us today? Here's the thing. When the Israelites, the people God chose to be a blessing to all families on earth, when they didn't look back, when they ignored the stories of their lives, forgot their victories and their disgrace, that's when they lost their way. But whenever they paused to reframe their past, they could see the faithfulness of God, and they remembered how He had always been and still was their greatest source of comfort, encouragement, and direction. Now, don't misunderstand me. I'm not whitewashing over the terrible circumstances and real tragedies and pains some of us have experienced. Sometimes Christians throw out the verse from the Bible which reads, "And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him and who have been called according to His purpose." But how can things like abuse, disease, and death work for our good? How can God take anxiety, depression, and Work that for our good. What about divorce, stillbirth, infertility, murder, COVID, hurricanes? The list seems endless. Here's what I want you to remember. God uses all things for our good, not that all things are good. He will take all of the broken parts of our lives and somehow give them meaning. That doesn't mean we won't suffer great loss and pain, but it means that our loss and pain can be used to make a difference in our lives and in the lives of other people. So, as you work on your lifeline and call to mind the significant people, circumstances, and decisions of your life, invite God to help you find a meaning and a purpose beyond the pain and loss. And that's the final word.